Hello, dear students, and welcome to a new lesson for English learners in grade 8. My name is Sanja Božinović, and I will be your English teacher today. Our today's lesson is, what's your energy profile? Here are the outcomes of today's lesson. By the end of today's lesson, you will be able to describe different personality traits using relative pronouns and a number of new adjectives. You will collect, analyze, and present information about people around you and describe people, trying to avoid stereotypes and critically analyze the information that you have collected. For this lesson, you need your device with the internet connection and your notebook. If you have all you need, let's start. What is your energy profile? What is energy, personality, extroverts, introverts, personality tests? Think about what you already know about these terms. Plus, think about if we can categorize people as a type and why it is very important to understand our differences. Energy is a noun. The adjective is energetic. In chemistry, an energy profile is a diagram representing the energy changes that take place during a chemical reaction. In today's lesson, we are not talking about chemistry, but we are talking about people's profiles and their energy. We are talking about personality too. Personality refers to individual differences in characteristic patterns of thinking, feeling, and behaving, which is how we think, how we feel, and how we behave. And the terms introverts and extroverts were explained first by Carl Jung a century ago, and he based his theory on how people gather and focus their energy, how we gain energy, lose energy, and how we recharge our energy. Pause this video and think about the differences between the energy of people who we call extroverts and the energy of people who we call introverts. Plus, what other character traits can you think of? To define or explain a noun in the main clause, it's very useful to learn your relative pronouns. On the left-hand side of the slide, you can see the main clause. Like, for example, extrovert is a person, introvert is a person, personality trait is a characteristic. These are the main parts of the sentence, the main clause, but the meaning is not full because you need a definition. And to define that noun in the main clause, you need a relative clause, beginning with a relative pronoun. If you are talking about a person, if you are defining a person, you need who. Who can be replaced by that. So when you define, when you explain a person, you begin your relative clause with who or that. You can also use whose if you are talking about somebody's possession, like extrovert is a person whose personality, the personality of the extrovert, is characterized by extroversion. When you talk about things, not people, you cannot use who, but you can use that or which. Personality trait is a characteristic which identifies how we think, how we feel, and how we behave. Please pause this video and copy these examples, and remember that when you want to define or explain a noun in the main clause, you use who or that if that noun is for people. You use which or that for things. And you use whose for possessive. Who, which, that, whose are all relative pronouns. They introduce relative clauses to join sentences to nouns. Who or that are used for people. Which or that are used for things. that can be used instead of who or instead of which. Whose is used as a possessive. Let's try some examples. Your task now is to join the sentences by using who or which. Let's try. These two sentences are: the girl is an introvert. She often wears earphones and has something to read in class. Can you join these two sentences into one? The girl who often wears earphones and has something to read in class is an introvert. Let's try one more. I've met a girl. She is always very serious and prepared. I've met a girl who is always serious and prepared. Example number 3. I've got the personality test. You wanted it. Be careful this time, there are 3 possibilities. I've got the personality test you wanted. I've got the personality test which you wanted. I've got the personality test that you wanted. All 3 correct. And why is that so? I've got the personality test. And you wanted what? The personality test. So the relative clause links to the personality test word, which is not the person but the thing. That means that we can use which or that. Also, the personality test is the object, not the subject, of the relative clause. You wanted what? You wanted the personality test. The noun that you link to is the object of the relative clause. In that case, you can not use that relative pronoun which, you can omit it. So you can say, I've got the personality test you wanted. Here is the dictionary. It gives very good definitions of personality traits. Here is the dictionary, which gives very good definitions, or here is the dictionary that gives very good definitions of personality traits. Well done. Let's go on and think about different theories of personality traits. One of the most famous theories is so-called Big Five personality traits theory. In that theory, there are 5 personality traits that you can recognize in people. Somebody is an open kind of person, or conscientious, extrovert, agreeable, neurotic. Have you heard of these terms? Do you know what these words mean? If you don't know what they all mean, you can check them up in your dictionary. You can pause this video and check that you understand all the words. Then get back to this video and think. Can a theory describe an entire personality? What do you think? You can make some notes in your notebook and you will discuss it later on. There is a video that you can access if you use the link on this slide, bit.ly/sprouts5. It's a video by the famous Sprout schools. It's about 5 friends on an island in the ocean. It's very interesting. And when you watch it, you will see that these 5 friends represent the 5 personality traits from the theory. Watch the video and write who is open, who is conscientious, who is extrovert here, agreeable, and who is neurotic. When you watch a video like the Big 5 personality traits, people usually think about people around them. In your neighborhood, in your family, in your class, there must be some people who look similar to the people in the video. Think about people that you know, what they do, how they feel, what their reactions are, and try to make sentences about what you have noticed, which is similar to the people in the video. You can use the beginnings of the sentences that you can see on this slide. A friend of mine who always, and mention something that your friend always does. A colleague whose, remember whose is a possessive she. A neighbor that knows. You can add some more sentences if you have more ideas. When you finish writing your sentences and comparing people around you to the people in the video, please think about one more very important thing. What is important to avoid when describing a person? Let me help you. We can say that a person is similar to somebody else or belongs to a type, but we always have to be careful about individual characteristics of everybody around us, and us included. Here are some more adjectives to describe personality. Let's read them. Competitive, enthusiastic, kind, outgoing, respectful, talkative, agreeable, conscientious, impatient, quiet, reserved, serious, shy. As you can see, in the middle there is a sign, positive plus negative, that's me. Which of these adjectives are positive characteristics of our personality and which are not so positive? We can even say they are negative. And do you know what all of these adjectives mean? Please pause this video, copy the adjectives into your notebook, try to put them into two groups, those that you think are positive, those that you think are negative, and if you don't know what they mean, write their meaning in your notebook and learn them. Here's a challenge for you, the ABC challenge. After this lesson, when you learn the words from the lesson and keep on thinking about the topics of today's lesson, try to think of one adjective describing personality for every letter of the alphabet to see how many you can think of. I hope you can think for one adjective at least for every letter of the alphabet. Finally, when you stop and think about how you could describe yourself, which of these adjectives could you use to describe yourself? You can mark them in your notebook. What do we call someone who is always concerned with doing things correctly? What do we call someone who likes to compete and win competitions? What do we call someone who is always ready to agree with people? What do we call someone who is not patient, who is usually restless, short of temper? What do we call someone who always shows respect? What do we call someone who is easily frightened and often avoids other people? What do we call someone who likes to talk and enjoys conversations? Pause this video, copy the sentences, notice the relative pronoun, and write the adjectives. Here they are: conscientious, competitive, agreeable, impatient, respectful, shy, and talkative. Let's describe some people around you. Use some adjectives from this list and make sentences about one of your classmates. How does that person feel? What does that person do? If you're not sure about every trait, you can ask one question about the characteristic that you suspect your classmate has, but you're not sure. Please think carefully about how you decide what characteristics to mention, and always be respectful. That's very important. If you're interested in personality tests and you would like to create your own, we can start by thinking what they are. What is a personality test? What do tests like that really test? Who can take them? Are they reliable? What kind of questions can you find in personality tests? Have you ever taken one? Have you ever taken a fun personality test? You could try and make your own fun personality test. You can make some statements about what people do and how people feel. You can use the situations and the words from the video. And you can ask your classmates to take the test and try to find out if your classmates are similar, if they feel similar to any of the characters from the video. Don't forget, it's just for fun, and be respectful. Your main task for today's lesson is 1-minute talk. In your 1-minute talk, you will describe your friend's personality. You will give arguments and examples and use adjectives from this lesson when defining some of the characteristics that you think your friend has. You will make 2 or more relative clauses. You can use the information from your personality test if you have created one. Don't forget your conclusion, your friend's energy profile. Don't say your friend's name, please. You can let your classmates guess. Let's see how successful they are in guessing. When you plan your 1-minute talk, plan to say something about your friend as a kind of introduction. Then, in the main part, use adjectives, both for positive and negative qualities, relative pronouns in relative clauses, and then make a logical and respectful conclusion. This rubric will help you when you create your 1-minute talk. Pay attention to complete this task, to use the vocabulary from this lesson, to use the grammar from this lesson, and to avoid generalizations and stereotypes, and to always speak respectfully. The last activity of today's lesson is your exit ticket. In your notebook, write your answers to the questions that you can see on this slide. First, name one important thing that you have learned in this lesson. Then, write one question about something that has left you puzzled, or maybe something that you would like to learn more about. Finally, think about how the things that you have learned in this lesson will help you in real life. Write your answer. When you finish writing your answers in your notebook, that's the end of today's lesson. I hope you have learned something new and you have enjoyed learning in this lesson. Goodbye until our next lesson.